Consciousness is one of the biggest questions that humanity has not been able to solve yet. It's a mystery that we don't know exactly where it comes from or why do we have consciousness. Imagine then if an artificial intelligence would gain consciousness. It would be an even more complicated matter. And this will be a huge challenge to solve and one of the biggest dilemmas between tech and philosophy. So really, where does it come from? What would happen if an artificial intelligence would gain such consciousness similar to the one that mammals or even humans have? And we're not talking about the ability to solve problems. We're talking about the ability to feel pleasure, happiness, fear, the ability to project itself towards a specific future. I'll walk you through why this matters, the difference between intelligence and consciousness, how a machine might wake up, and why it also might never happen. Let's see it with an optimistic perspective. Today we're tackling one of the biggest what ifs in tech and philosophy. What would happen if an artificial intelligence would gain consciousness? And we're not talking about the ability to become smarter, but rather the ability to feel pleasure, pain, happiness, to have emotions. You might counter-argue that it's not that relevant to feel consciousness, because in the end, machines, in this case AI, has been invented to solve problems. That could be said the same with humanity. But the reality is that AI is already outperforming humans in solving problems. In specific problems or even transversal problems that only machines will be able to do so. And if that's not the case yet, it will be in the very near future. Therefore, consciousness, the ability to feel emotions, to feel pleasure, pain, happiness, it's pretty unique to humans and other animals as well, including mammals and birds. And this might be the last feature of humankind in comparison to artificial intelligence. The notion of projecting myself to the future and also having ambitions is something very unique, and we don't know where it comes from really. But because we haven't explored yet. We've been able to go to the moon, to discover our own DNA, to split the atom, but we don't know where our thoughts come from. Why do we feel consciousness? And this again is a unique trait of humanity, and it might be the very unique and last difference between humans and machines. That's why it's so relevant to understand where it comes from. And also, maybe one day artificial intelligence might wake up and have consciousness by its own. And that might be the last difference between humans and AI. And then AI will be able to surpass us in every single technique, field, and even emotion. That's why it's extremely relevant to know exactly what consciousness is, and not only that, but expand in ourselves so that we can improve as a person and as a society as a whole. Intelligence and consciousness are very different terms, and people tend to make mistakes about this, and it's very legitimate that people tend to do so because these are terms that are often not too explored, because humanity as of today has been specifically being focused on the term of intelligence. And this is really where the term of artificial intelligence comes from as well. That's why the focus has been there. But really the terms are very different. The first one, intelligence, will be the ability to solve problems. And GPT-4, DeepSeek, and many other AIs, and also not AIs, are already outperforming humans in specific tasks or even in their whole profession. And then we have the term of consciousness, which is not necessarily linked to intelligence. We don't know why it has emerged in mammals, including Homo sapiens, humans in this case, but it is there. It's a long-term evolutionary trait. Maybe it's a side effect. Maybe it's necessary for organic life and for intelligent life. Or maybe it's not. And at the moment we're seeing it, it's not really necessary. It's not a byproduct of intelligence, as we're seeing that many models are already outperforming humans and they are not having consciousness, at least that we know of. And this is critical because this is a key difference between AI models and humans. But we still don't know where it comes from and why. And this is one of those vital mysteries that we believe that we should be focusing on much more, because again, it might be the last difference that AI models and ourselves have. Even though we might not have absolutely any idea about consciousness, where it emerges, where it comes from, but still, AI could become conscious. It's not against the law of physics. It will be extremely impressive, but at this point, I might not get impressed by anything that AI does, as it's doing already absolutely unthinkable, unprecedented things. GPT didn't even exist 3 years ago. So here are some of the reasons and pathways of AI becoming conscious in the coming future. The first one would be integrated information theory, that basically states that if enough information inside a system becomes deeply interconnected, consciousness might ignite when a threshold is crossed. This would be very impressive if that happened, because there's no link with intelligence and more information and consciousness. But this is one of the theories that might prove that AI might gain consciousness. Then world model feedback loops, an AI that constantly predicts its own future states and updates based on errors, could develop a running sense of self, a step towards awareness. In this case, the machine might not be able to feel pleasure, but might be aware of itself. And that might be a meaning or a subclassification of consciousness, which might be enough. And then a third one might be synthetic dopamine. By wiring in artificial reward signals, digital equivalents of pleasure or pain, the system might start to care about outcomes, another ingredient of conscious experience. This will be different than consciousness as we feel it, but again, the term could be redefined if AI gains partially consciousness, such as this case. However, this might never happen, and there are many reasons for it. And if you had to bet, I would say this might never happen, at least in the coming future. Because at least as of now, we've seen that consciousness emerges after millions of evolutionary trajectory of mammals and other animals. And this, in the end, is something that AI has not been able to do so. And as well, we've not seen any consciousness in non-organic matters, which would prove again that it only emerges in carbon or organic matters rather than silicon ones. But still, we don't know. And since we don't know the basics of consciousness, we cannot bet against an AI or another inorganic matter of gaining consciousness. Or maybe all inorganic matter do have consciousness and we're absolutely not aware about it. The point is, since we don't know enough about ourselves and about consciousness, we cannot make sure that AI would gain. And even if we were sure, maybe we're not even able to detect it. That's why it's so important not only to develop smarter machines, but especially to get to know ourselves through many means, including meditation, through scientific studies, and so on and so forth. So what do you think? Is AI consciousness inevitable, impossible, or something in between? Let us know in the comment section below, and do not hesitate to check the AI song of AI Becomes Conscious. It's a pretty unique one, and subscribe to the channel if you like content like this one. And as always, embrace your curiosity, enjoy your life, and be the change you want to see in the world. See you in the next optimistic and adventure.